So hey there everybody, thanks for stopping by the channel. My name's Rich, and today we're going to talk a little bit about Luminar 3, Luminar with libraries. So I've been waiting for this for quite a while actually. I purchased Luminar quite some time ago and also Aurora HDR quite some time ago, and I've got to say I've been real happy with Aurora and the performance of Aurora HDR for quite a while. The latest version of Luminar, that Luminar 2018, has been pretty useful, and I've used it for editing for lots of different photos. I've used both Aurora and Luminar with Lightroom, so Adobe's Photoshop Lightroom. But now here we are, we've got Luminar 3, and it's Luminar with libraries. Now yesterday I did a quick off-the-cuff video just testing it out, just opening it for the first time, setting up the first catalog, and just taking a quick look at libraries and a couple other features. In this video, we're actually going to go more in depth. We're going to set up a completely new catalog, and we're going to talk through the Luminar with libraries. So we're going to take a look at libraries first. And then in the following video, we're going to take a few minutes to look at editing with Luminar. I will say, overall, I'm satisfied with Luminar as a plugin. I do like its editing features, and you can make some really cool stuff with it. The jury is still out for me on the libraries side of it, and I'm going to take you through this, and I'm going to let you decide how you feel about it. So right here, right now, we're up on screen, and I'm going to take this real casual, so this one might run over on time. I do apologize for that, but I wanted to do a realistic review here, and I wanted to do this realistic review with you. So we're looking at this for the first time. So we just got Luminar 3. We're trying it out. We're trying the libraries out, and we're gonna bumble through it together. So this isn't scripted. I don't have a dialogue for this. I haven't pre-written anything. And the reason I've done that is because when we all purchase new software or try out new devices, yeah, we go on YouTube and we look up some stuff, but 9 times out of 10, we actually try it out first. So we install it, we jump into it, and we kind of meander around seeing what the features are. We're going to do that together today because I want this to be as realistic as possible. By the way, so on screen right now that you're looking at, I'm using an iPhone 8, and I'm also using the Osmo Mobile 2. So we're going to switch over to the main screen view in a minute, but we'll keep a picture in a picture here. So you can see my regular work process, and this is what I do as part of my job every day. So this is kind of Luminar with libraries from a working professional photographer's viewpoint. We're going to see what we get out of it. So on the screen right now is the library that I set up yesterday. And we're going to do something totally new. So I'm in Luminar 3. I'm going to go up to File, and I'm going to make a new catalog. And I'm going to tell it, okay. It wants to save the new one on my hard drive. I'm using a Mac, and it wants to save it in pictures. We're not going to let it do that. We're going to bring this down to my Final Cut drive number 2. We're going to throw this in the YouTube classes, and we're going to throw it in Luminar libraries. And let's see here, Luminar 3 demo. And that should be good enough. So I'm going to save that right there. So now we've got that. So here comes our new library. So there we go. We have no photos in here. We've got nothing yet. And we don't even know where we're putting everything yet. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's get the drop down, and we can add a folder. So we're going to create a new folder, and I'm going to put that folder in Luminar 3 demo. So this is an external drive. If I were to disconnect this external drive, then I would not have access to this. So keep that in mind when you're using external drives. It's kind of the same issue that occurs in Lightroom as well. All right, so I'm adding the folder. So now over on the right-hand side, we've got our library. We have no images in it yet, no photos, nothing in trash, nothing in albums, and nothing in that Luminar 3 demo folder. At this point, I would like to import some images. So I'd like to import them to Luminar 3 demo. And let's see here. I actually popped in my Sony camera card. And there we go. We've got some images to bring in that are raw files. So I'm going to go ahead and import those. And so Luminar is bringing them in. Now remember, That folder over on the right-hand side, Luminar 3 Demo, is on my external drive under a folder for this tutorial. So here we are. We've got some images, and it's pretty clear to me right off the bat that I was doing some setups for HDR again. Because we've got some underexposures, some overexposures, etc. And what I'm going to do, yeah, we've got this set to medium right now. Okay, so I got a little preview yesterday playing with this by playing around with Luminar yesterday. So we need to walk through and look at a couple more items. But before we do that, I'm going to add some more images. So I've got another card right here, and this is from my Canon 7D. And these particular photos are not award-winning photos or anything. They're from a drone flight job that I did, and while I was on location, I also took some still photos just for my own reference, and I took those set up for HDR as well, so they're bracketed as well. So I'm going to go back in here, and oh, actually I can just go right here, and I want to import some more images to Luminar 3 Demo, and now we're going to take a look at, there's my EOS digital, and here we go. We've got some more raw files. So I'm dumping a lot of raw files in here today, because some people have noted that on Luminar that the raw files take longer and then it goes slower. So I want to do something truly realistic here. And that means we're going to play with some images that might take a while to run. And as you can see, looks like this updating the image gallery is taking a few moments. And that always happens on Lightroom too, so no big deal yet. Over on the right-hand side, while we're waiting for this, we've got our library. So now we've got all photos at 57. And we have nothing in our albums yet. And we can't show it or anything at the moment because we're still importing stuff. So we're getting our update in, and I'm trying to scroll on this window right now. And unfortunately, I'm unable to scroll on the window. Excuse the cough. All right. So let's work on through this. It's still going, and we will get there, I promise. So 33%. Now, let's look around here while we're waiting on this. So we've got our standard menus up here. We've got our file for our catalog, import images, open images for quick edits, add Luminar looks collections, so they do have downloadable looks. We've got an export, we've got an open in, and we've got an open in Aurora HDR, and we will look into that after, because a lot of these images that we're importing were set up as auto exposure brackets, and they were set up for making HDRs with Aurora, which is another program created by the folks at Skylum. We have different workspaces, our filters, we can do layers and masks, and we've got our tools. We also have our plugins to Aurora. We can do new albums here. We can add folders and subfolders. We can show these things in the Finder as well. And then under image, we can flag, we can set ratings, we can set color labels for things. So we've got a couple of ways to search for things now with the new Luminar with libraries, right? Then we've got our view here. So the sidebars we can turn on and off, and our zoom in and out, and we can just change our backgrounds if we want to. So, you know, standard fare here, and most of these menus are also accessible through the menu bar here that you're looking at. All right, so here comes all of these other raw photos, some interiors from one of the buildings that I was actually flying recently. As you can see here, once again, we've got images here that are set up for high dynamic range photos. So we've got underexposure, overexposures, and proper exposures. So when we go look at this photo library now, it's already getting a little messy. I've got a lot of images. So 183 folders. Right now, it's being sorted by capture time. And we can go through and flag things and pick things that we like and don't like. So let's start using this library feature here. So we're not going to play around with editing or anything quite yet, and we will play around with editing later. But first, I want to look into our navigation. So Jody has showed up, and that's okay. She can come inside because I'll just edit this So minor interruption there. Sorry about that. Now we're back to here. So like I said, we're not going to edit these or anything yet. First, we just want to take a look. So we have all photos that we can sort by. We can sort by favorites. We can sort by rejected or unmarked. 5-star, 4-star, 3, you got it. And we can also color code things. We can also sort by edited. But by edited, what that means is edited with Luminar specifically, okay? And so I'm just looking through the rest of these. All right, so there we go. So this is sorted by capture time. And so let's do ascending. And let's go back up here because these particular photos were shot prior to the other ones. So these were October of 2018. And then we get into probably November of 2018. Over on the right-hand side with the library button, let's take a look. So we have an all photos folder at the moment. We have a recently added. So those are the things that we imported today for this class, for this tutorial. And we've got folders down here and nothing in it right now. So if I go into the Luminar 3 demo, it has everything. When I go back up to all photos, I can look in October. And so that's just these particular images from a lake here in Prescott. And then we can also go to the next one, Saturday, October 20th. And that's going to show us these homes that I was actually doing drone work for. So what can we do with this? Well, number one, so here's something that I'm going to point out here. All of these are bracketed photos. Like I said, I do a lot of HDR. A lot of people do a lot of HDR. So if you look at this image right here, I just double clicked it. This looks to be my overexposed image for this particular image. There's my underexposed. There's my properly exposed. So 3 brackets, that's what I always do with my Canon 5D Mark II. So that gives us an idea if I wanted to select 3 and then export them to an HDR program, I potentially could. We'll discuss that a little more later. So right now we're in the individual view. If I hit the G key to go back to the grid view, which is just like Lightroom, and I'm going to go ahead and deselect these. But we can actually look through at this higher level, and let's say that we like this image. Well, what can we do with it? We can add it to a favorite. And look at this one. So I'll give it a 5-star. And maybe this one over here, I'll give it a 5-star. And now we can actually sort on stars if we want to. So let's see here. 5 stars. So now we have 2 images that are 5-star. And let's go back to all photos. So this photo right here, I'm going to hit 5 stars on it too because these guys are grouped together. Now, here's one thing that's bothering me with Luminar with libraries. When I load images like this into Lightroom, Lightroom allows you to stack images together. So I could actually collapse these other 2 images below one image, saving me some viewing space here. But instead, this library is showing me everything. And with it showing me everything, I'm seeing more images than I need to because this is the same scene 3 times over. This particular image is the correctly exposed scene. This is the one that I'd like to see sitting on top. But right now, I cannot combine these in any way. I just hit the Shift key. And I just wanted to see, is there anything in here for stacking? And sadly, there's nothing in here for stacking. I could create an album with these, so there's one way to do it. I would have to start making little albums and, you know, saying houses for HDR. So let's do that. Let's create an album and let's call that album, let me see here. Can I change the name of it? Rename. And there we go. Houses for HDR. So this is requiring a little more upfront work for me than I'm used to with Lightroom. So this is slowing me down. And it's not, what am I saying here? It's not speeding along my workflow process by any stretch of the imagination, unfortunately. So I'm going to go back to all photos again, and those guys are highlighted. I'm just hitting my Command D for deselect. So we can go through here and we can start starring things. We can start favoriting things. So if I were to pick another image, maybe this one right here, and how can we favorite it? So we could set a flag as flagged. We can do the ratings. We can do that. So I'm going to flag this one. And the flag is actually the happy little heart. So I'm going to look over here on the right-hand side in my library window again. And now we've got one favorite. And if we go back to all photos again, it still has us the favorite. So that works okay. But as a professional photographer, I've got to say that there are moments when I'm going to be searching for something from a year ago. So as a working photographer, my Lightroom libraries get into the thousands and thousands of images. One of the ways that I keep track of those images is by keywording images on import. Keywording is not something that's available in Luminar with libraries quite yet. They say they've got a roadmap plan for it and that it's going to be coming along, so I'm going to go ahead and believe them. But in the meantime, for me personally, at this level, basically what they've done is they've built an onboard access area to my Finder. So I'm using Macintosh right now. So I've got an internalized Finder here, and I can create new folders, I can create albums, and I can import things. But at the end of the day, if I'm dealing with thousands and thousands of photos, I need to be able to find stuff faster. If a client gets in touch with me and says, I need something from the photo shoot that happened over at 1225 Paquito Way, and that's a real address. So I did a photo shoot for a client at 1225 Paquito Way, and I could just search on keywords because I actually added that in. Otherwise, I have to remember, well, I did that shoot for you in July of 2017, so now I got to go find the July 2017, start sorting through all those. And when you're a working commercial photographer and you're doing real estate and video and stuff for people, you know, eating up time hunting for things is not a great thing. So for me, right now, where this is at with this library, a little disappointing. We can flag things in a couple of ways. We can't do any kind of stacking. We can't search on keywords right now. We can't add keywords on imports. So at some point, when they introduce that, I'm going to have to go back through this library and spend some time, right? So, all right. So, you know, just taking a look through, we got all of our images, the house images, just rolling on through there. And up at the top, we've got our other photos from the Sony. So this is looking pretty good. You know, we got the Sony images and we're ready to run. So the big things with the library, we can now import into Luminar and make a library. All right, yay. That's progress, and I like that progress. We can favorite things, we can 5-star things, 4-star things, and we can search based on dates, okay? So Wednesday, October 17th, I'm usually doing several shoots a week. So this over here, this menu bar, this set of folders is going to get large fast. And if I'm only able to search on the items that we have here, you know, favorited, rejected, unmarked, 5 stars, and then color-coded. Maybe I could color-code all of my house things. Maybe I could color-code all of my drone things. The thing is, this is not the speediest workflow out there today. So if you're just looking for a way to manage and expedite tons of photos, this at present, Luminar with libraries at present, is not your fastest solution. That simple. And don't get me wrong, I really want to see Luminar succeed. But I'm going to be as honest as possible about this because of the amount of photography that I have to keep track of. At the moment, it's not there yet for me. We can also sort by the edit time, rating, the pick flags, color labels, file names. Did you notice that I didn't have an option to do custom file names on import here? Nope, I sure didn't. File type, file size, and so once again, no keywording to be able to search on things quickly. Not available to me right now. So I can go through after my shoot and say, oh, I really like this one, I don't like this one, etc., etc., etc. That's fine, that's cool. But it's still not expediting my editing process in a way that's really going to be impactful to me. So I think this is a really good first step for Skylum. And I think, you know, down the road, if they introduce the ability to do keywording, I might just make the full switch. For the time being, what I can tell you is this: I'm still going to be using Lightroom for my photo management. I'm going to continue using Luminar, and what I do in Lightroom is I export it to Luminar. I do my adjustments in Luminar, I save them back into Lightroom, and I'm done. It's great. Same thing with Aurora HDR. I'm going to continue using that as well. So this cataloging system is part of the way there, maybe 30% of the way there. And as they do their improvements and as they bring more features and functionality online, this might become my default area. For the moment, it's certainly not going to be. And I'm going to wrap this one up right here. So, and I know you're probably saying to yourself, wow, Rich, you didn't really show me too much in those folders. There isn't much to show, guys. I'm sorry. This is it. So we can make a bunch of folders, and we can filter things based on dates and how we flagged stuff after we got back from a photo shoot. That's good. But to be really frank and honest with you, in 2006 and 2007, when I was managing a ton of images, I stumbled across Lightroom. A friend sent me a copy, a licensed copy. They had gotten 2 copies. And once I learned Lightroom, I realized that the workflow in Lightroom saved me hours and days. And prior to that, I was managing all my photos with a folder system. So I came up with my own little folder system, and I'd go to my Finder window and I'd go into that folder system. And that feels really reminiscent to this, what I'm looking at here on this screen right now. We've got foldering. We've got some additional tools in the foldering so that we can flag things as favorites and not favorites, accepted and rejected. So that might expedite things a little bit, but it's not expediting things enough to get me to move off of Lightroom yet. And when I first bought Luminar, I bought Luminar to see about getting a product that could in fact get me off of Lightroom, because I'm kind of tired of the Creative Cloud personally. So I really want Skylum to succeed here. And so what I'm saying right now, this is manageable. If you're a hobbyist and you're not taking a ton of photos, maybe this is going to be good enough as it is. If you're a professional photographer who's coming back with a lot of images, a lot of stuff to process and a lot of stuff to track, these tools are not good enough to speed up my workflow. Not at the moment. 30% of the way there, we need that other 70%. All right, I'm going to wrap this one up, and then we're going to go into one more video, and just as casual and kind of laid back as this one. We're going to talk about editing in here. We're also going to talk about HDR, and the one other problem that I've personally found with this that I hope they address quickly, because it's kind of silly. I can't export blocks of images to Aurora HDR, and Aurora HDR is made by the people who make Luminar. So I think this is a little bad form. Luminar was out there first, or I'm sorry, Aurora was out there first. I got into Skylum's stuff when they were Mac Fun, and I followed them along when they became Skylum, and I'm an Aurora user, and Luminar should be able to export to Aurora to make a bracketed HDR. And as I show you in the next little video, it ain't there. All right, we'll see you on the next one, and sorry for the slow pace, but I really want you to understand what you've got here and what you might feel like you're missing.